Hello and welcome to Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television. Good morning. My name is Odunayo.
My name is Joshua Adeji. You're welcome once again to Daybreak Africa, and happy Democracy Day to everyone out there.
Happy Democracy Day.
Yeah, happy Democracy Day to Nigerians. 26 years of uninterrupted democracy is something that we should actually
We are proud
celebrate.
of ourselves. We're proud of ourselves.
And all that. All right, welcome back to the show. Just joining us, still Daybreak Africa. Yes, on this very beautiful morning, we'll be looking more at the news stories that are trending in Nigeria. Well, it's still Democracy Day, and on Democracy Day too as well, we still need to look at some of the things on that is happening within the country. Though we know this morning the president already is giving a speech, we've not still gotten there. Maybe in the next programs that you're going to have today, you'll be hearing the speech of the president. But for now, let's take a look at some of the very trending things happening in Nigeria as we speak. But we are not the only ones that will be discussing today. Actually, our guest is in the studio as well with us to touch one or two of these issues with us. He's a friend of the house. Is political analyst, a public affairs analyst. I sometimes term him an activist too, to a very large extent, in the person of Adegbeyeni. Abiodun, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Joshua.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, and happy Democracy Day to you, actually.
Happy Democracy Day.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to actually have you too as well. Democracy Day, Democracy Day, Democracy Day. And talking about Democracy Day, I think the first news stories we're addressing actually is something that has to do with Nigeria's democracy too as well. And this story comes from Sir Dele Momodu, who happens to be a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. According to him, he asserted that Nigeria now ruled by civilian dictators. That is by Dele Momodu. And here was the thing he said, being a two-time, he said the country is going back to a civilian dictatorship, according to Dele Momodu. And he stated this when he was on the show recently. He added that the situation is especially sad as the country is celebrating its Democracy Day. And he stated, I'm very happy that it coincides with the lead up to the June 12th, which happens to be with Democracy Day, so that if we still have any iota of conscience left, we will realize we have damaged this democracy. The summary of it all is that on the eve of June 12th, Nigeria is virtually back to civilian dictators who don't care how you feel or what you think. Nigerians are hungry. According to Dele Momodu, Momodu blamed both elected officials and government institutions for ignoring the people, saying the leaders are bold and shameless in how they treat Nigerians. Let me have this. He said, we have damaged this democracy. And I hope we have not damaged it beyond repair, because the audacity, the effrontery of this set of politicians, whether in the executive, legislature, or local government, is totally unbelievable. Now, this is coming from Dele Momodu, who we know worked closely with Moshood Abiola of blessed memory during the June 12 elections of 1993. Now he's coming to make this assertion. Dele Momodu was on the set of the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as at that particular time in 1993. And over time, he had also had his own sphere in politics and all that in Nigeria. Two-time presidential candidate, and now a chieftain in the People's Democratic Party. What's your take on this current assertion about the fact that our democracy is in danger? We are ruled by what he termed the civilian dictatorship.
All right, thank you, Josh. Once again, I want to thank you for inviting me. No one could have said everything Dele Momodu said better. No one could have said everything better. The point is, before we even delve into his assertions, we first look at the definition of democracy. When we talk about democracy, in a layman language, democracy is when government returns to the people. Because that was why you navigated from military rule to democracy. So say it is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So he said, we have dictators in power hiding under the guise of civilian rule. Just like when a sheep or a wolf is in sheep clothing, all right. The point is, we have dictators in Agbada. Permit me to say that. So everything Dele Momodu said, no one could have said it better. We will discover that instead of us improving when it comes to the issue of democracy, people have been emboldened. Our democracy, the rights of the citizen is being trampled upon day in, day out. So what's the essence of democracy? So the beauty of democracy is when government returns to the people. What democracy entails is when the government is afraid of the people. When it is the other way around, it is no longer democracy. Like one of the late musicians said, it is now crazy demo.
Crazy demo, the actual word. But then he talked about civilian dictatorship. Do I remember there was a particular time, I think that was Pastor Chris, then he was preaching and he said, you know, he doesn't really like democracy. Democracy seems to be I'm trying to just mimic him actually.
Yes, I get that.
Happens to be the how do they term it? The dictatorship of the majority. That is to say, the majority takes the whole thing. Maybe that is why, and it was easy to make an assertion that maybe that is why many of the political leaders misbehave in the place of democracy, because they already have the consensus of a large number of people. So definitely, it's always, they only play to their people and not to the general public. Now, what's your take on this as regards Nigerian democracy?
Well, democracy should never be a problem. Actually, democracy should be a way, you know, to make people enjoy dividends of, you know, good governance. Yeah. All right? Because the point is this: you are elected to represent the populace. If our institutions, so to say, if they are strengthened, I think it will enhance, you know, the beauty of democracy. What am I trying to say? For example, the reason why it seems that democracy has been bastardized today, has been relegated, you know, it is a state of a comatose, so to say, is because the institution that should maintain moral sanctity, as I've always said. For example, you know, when we were about starting this program, you made mention of some by-elections, you know, that, you know, INEC want to conduct. If actually INEC stand, you know, INEC has been standing, you know, its ground from time immemorial, something of such wouldn't have happened. Because if we conduct by-election, it's going to be, you know, we are going to be spending unnecessarily. You know, every election cycle is every 4 years. I mean, 4 years. For 4 years. So the reason why we have quite a number of instability in elections is because, you know, just imagine somebody will enjoy the favor of the populace. The person will be voted for, the person will win the election, and the person will be sworn in only for the courts. You get it? It is in this same country that somebody came forth, and a judge sat and declared that person winner of the election. This is what we are talking about. Now, in that particular state, you know, the governorship
Imo State, to be specific.
Yes, okay. I don't want to
it was not a long time ago. It was just 2019.
Just imagine. Just imagine. So the point is this: the problem is not with democracy. The problem is with the people. Actually, the problem is with the people. The point is, if we are saying Nigeria is bad, is Nigeria actually bad? Nigeria is not bad. It is Nigerians that are bad. The minority ruling us. That is the point. So, like you have said, it's because government, we have no measures put in place for government officials to be held accountable. That's why they are doing all manner of things. They are being involved in frivolities. So this is what we are talking about. For example, in the Western world, you discover that people enjoy the dividends of democracy. The power to hire and fire lies with the populace, not with the politician.
You ever resign immediately?
Yes, the politician cannot tell you. An average politician in the Western world cannot tell you, go and sit down, because they know they are coming back, and if they don't do well, you are going to vote them out. There's this particular, you know, we're talking about democracy, right? There's a particular country where the power holding company seized the lights for just about an hour, and the man said he has failed as a minister. He has to resign. But our people prefer dying in power. So they will tell you to go to where. This is the problem. So the issue is not with democracy. Although Pastor Chris, like you said, is entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, very much.
But then the problem is not with democracy. It is the people, the handlers of democracy. Let me put it that way.
Sometimes I ask myself, because I think this week was when I began to reason it. One, it's a great thing that today we're celebrating 26 years. Yeah, 26 years of uninterrupted
democracy.
This is the first time ever in Nigeria we are celebrating 26 years uninterrupted, because I remember that if you look at the First Republic, 1960, just 5 years, military rule. Before we knew what was happening, the next democracy that came, 4 years, military rule. The next one that came, it was annulled. Then Now we are having this one. But to a very large extent, I observe that over time, it's always the same problem. Despite the fact that we are changing people in those, don't you think we need to change something structurally that is going to, because I was taken through the democracy, because when Pastor Chris gave his view, I was asking myself a question. Democracy is the tyranny of the majority. That was the word he used, the tyranny of the majority. And I was asking myself questions like, then what about the minorities? What about the people that, okay, I didn't vote for you, you became the president. I should have at least a system that also caters for me as well. Because I was looking at it today now, there are some grants and there are some goodies that comes from the top. And by the time it's coming down, they'll begin to, when they want to streamline, they'll begin to look at you, are you of this party? It's only card-carrying members of maybe the leading party. And it's not just from the federal, even states, even local. That's the same thing. So is there a kind of system that we should look towards that, even though we don't like the person at the top, governance is still representing we that are not of his party and all that? Do you think we need to change the structure? Do you think we need to change personalities? Especially this point you raised about the fact that nowadays in Nigeria, the courts decides more. Now, the truth is, it's more rampant now. It used to be then, in the days of Maurice Iwu, in the days of Atairu Jega, it was the same. Now we are having this kind of system tools where it's the court now that is deciding more than the people that are voting. Don't you think we need to change a bit of structures? Because I think maybe the structure is what is even affecting the people that are coming into those areas.
Of course, we need to change some structures. I'll mention 3 things, 2 or 3. The first thing, just imagine the qualification you need to occupy the first seat in the country is O level. But if you want to, if you seek an employment,
you have to have your NIC certificate.
Yes, even up to master's degree,
level.
You can see what we are talking about. So that means you don't even need to go to school for you to become the president of this country. So we must put in a structure. We should only vote for somebody who is mentally sound. When I say mentally, how can the worst of us be ruling the best of us? How can a school starter, somebody whose academic journey is even shrouded in a controversy, leading professors, where we have bright minds who can lead this country? So that's the first thing. Perhaps maybe they should say, for you to be qualified to be president of Nigeria, maybe we say you must have a PhD or masters.
Okay.
Look at those representing us in the Halo chamber. Look at all these people. There are some of them, all they know how to do is to just sleep, blah blah blah. They are going there for the
many don't even read the bills.
They don't read. Some people cannot sponsor bill. You get it? If you watch the proceedings in the Western world, there are
conversations.
Yes, you will.
You know that they are educated.
They are educated.
Enlightened,
you will learn. But these people, instead of them, have you noticed that the National Assembly members, they don't like, having a discourse on issues that affect the masses positively. They will rather,
talk about
flex their muscles on frivolities. For example, see the way they were vocal about the changing of the national anthem. Was that what we need as at that time? Look at it. They said they want to make it mandatory to vote. Wow. Voting should be a right. If systems are put in place, how do you expect me to come out and vote when I know that my life is even in danger? This is what we're talking about. So number 2, there should be an independency of INEC. INEC is an institution saddled with the conduct of our elections. So INEC there should be a referendum in the way INEC chairman is appointed. So when the president appoints INEC chairman, the INEC chairman will be at the beck and call of the president. Except this month, in 2015, Jega took an exception where it was being prayered, and then the then president, Goodluck Jonathan, he exercised caution even when people were putting prayer. I make bold to say, if it is this one there, if it was the one there that time, like Erufai user language, monkeys and baboon will be soaking blood. Is it Buhari that made a such statement? So I might say, INEC should be independent. You know that you have to do your job. When you are independent, you know that you will do your job without fear or favor. you will agree with me that every institution has been bought. For example, WAEC the other day, the same WAEC that endorsed a particular state, Anambra, during the tenure of Peter Obi, that Anambra rank high in, the WAEC that was conducted that year. Yeah. Do you know WAEC deleted the video? Why? They deleted the video from their words, from their database, from their website.
I've not confirmed that. I'll check that.
You have to confirm.
I will confirm. There are multiple news stories going on, so I didn't really pay attention, but I'll confirm that actually.
So that means what I'm talking about is this: every institution is virtually in the pockets of this administration, and the third one I'm going to talk about, is the sheer shamelessness of our politicians. The issue of cross-carpeting. There should be a law enacted that if you are in a party, it's just like a diehard Republican going to switching ground to Democrats. So these people, is in their blood. These are party. This is where we are going to remain. See the way governors are, the kind of the political what's it called, cross-carpeting is becoming like a tsunami. The way governors are just trooping to the ruling party. So you know that when you decamp, you automatically lose your seat. You will think twice before you go. It's because there is no consequence, and that's it.
But we have the right to change from one party.
The governor of Edo State, now the law is clear that if you want to decamp, to another party, that there should be crisis in beyond control, crisis that is no longer manageable. The governor of Edo State now is trying that is either you go to APC or you lose your home. If you don't come to APC, no, it's all over there. It's either you come to APC or you risk your house being demolished.
Okay.
So this is how far we have come. So these are the structures I think we need to put in place. All right. If you are switching ground from your party to another party,
know in advance.
What is the premise? What is it? Is it that the crisis in your party is beyond control? So we must know if it is still within the ambient of what can still be control. Then if you decamp, you lose your seat. That is it. So I think it will bring sanity to the system.
Well, let's take the second news story because that also connects to even INEC. As you were talking about INEC, the story just popped up. So, Miracle, help us with that.
The Pending National Electoral Commission is experiencing delay in conducting 17 by-elections across the country due to financial constraints. This election covers 17 constituencies across over 32 local government areas, 359 registration areas, and more than 7,000 polling units nationwide. The Commission has proposed 126 billion naira for its 2025 operations, with part of the budget specifically allocated for the conduct of by-election. And I'm like, this morning...
Too much. Extremely too much.
Like, we know that we are talking about debt. This one is asking for money. We know that Nigeria is in debt, and you are saying because you want to conduct election, we should bring
by-elections for granted.
By-election. No, we should bring such amount of money.
How do you see that? Because I think this issue of money is becoming a problem.
Yes.
INEC, I know 2023 elections, the amount of money they got. They were still talking about an increment. Though I know sometimes organizing elections can be a very big issue.
Well, 126 billion naira.
But 126 billion naira.
That's a lot.
Isn't that extreme a bit?
What? Thank you very much. It's very, very extreme, like you've rightly mentioned. But then, INEC has, since 2023, since after the election, I think INEC has lost, the iota of the moral standing it has. In 2023, I think they got over 300 billion.
Over 300 billion.
To conduct the general election. But then we see add glitches. All right. You found it difficult to maintain, just a simple side, the front end or the back end, where we have young graduates who are tech savvy that can even manage all this thing we are talking about with lesser amounts.
And with good security.
With good security. That's what we are talking about. But the first point of call, I think if we have security structure, if our security architecture is very strong, we don't need to be spending all this humongous amounts. You get it? What does it take you? Look at the election conducted in South Africa. Look at it. So the point is, now, they said they are finding it difficult because of financial constraints. Yes. Does that mean, as humongous as this money is, it has not been captured in the budget? Why are they not releasing it? So if, you know, it's just like this government, just come and have a share of your national cake. If you are a CEO, you are a leader, you are a minister, whatever amount you say, nobody will question you. But there's a particular man in this country. If he's the president today, if you bring any quotation, you bring any budget, he's going to scrutinize the budget. If it takes him going to the market to, you know, to try to get the
actual price,
yes, the actual price of the things you mentioned or the things you are actually requesting for, he would go.
And who is the person, please? If I ask?
I'm talking of Peter Obi.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I can't confirm that.
Of course, you can confirm.
The little I verified, I know how many issues I had on Twitter with his followers and all that. So, because many of it,
there's no problem verifying. If the minister of the FCT could use
32 billion.
over 32 billion
to
just renovate an edifice, International Conference Center. So INEC chairman Yakubu Mahmoud shouldn't have problem getting his own. So all this is they're just play mind games.
So do you think they should release that 1.6 billion?
Since that's what they said they want, and there's no institution that, you know, for check and balance, that's the problem.
Or audits their accounts.
God bless you. I made mention the Department of Government Efficiency the other day. I wish we could have that here in Nigeria.
The one we have.
Nobody will ask questions.
The one we have in the United States now is having issues with
they will now tell you something that they will. Now, one thing I hate most when it comes to this issue of our institution presenting their budget is the issue of miscellaneous. You get it? Miscellaneous.
It happens even in students' union.
Miscellaneous. What is miscellaneous actually?
Exactly.
English.
What is it meant
so
for?
they hide under that place. Miscellaneous. Unforeseen circumstances. All right. Okay. Yes. Logistic and all
what
that.
Circumstances are you planning that you
So this is the problem. So that's it.
But then I don't know, because I feel like you said INEC should be very independent, totally independent.
Yes.
The president should not elect INEC chairman and all those kind of things, and there should be audits too for their funds, because I feel, this is my own personal opinion now, when I was checking through the presidential elections in 2023 and INEC was talking about the issues that was with the IREV and all that, and I asked myself a question, but you got money for this? Part of your budget was this particular thing. I know gadgets tends to have issues, but you got money for this, and on the day when it's supposed to perform its duties, it's glitched. And which story are we to believe? That people try to cyber attack it, or the fact that there were just some glitches that happened and all those kind of things? So do you think punishments should have come for such kinds of excuses made by the INEC chairman, or do you think maybe INEC needs a new set of people that can, you know, channel its cost to the next
Actually,
level?
before you answer that question, I'm actually seeing this news, and the country director of Accountability Lab Nigeria Friday, they were saying that the government must understand that funding election is not just about budget line, it's about representation. When elections are delayed, people are cut off from development and from being represented. He said the executive and the legislature must prioritize INEC's funding so that democracy can function properly. And I'm like,
prioritize
INEC funding so that democracy can go properly.
Without proper efficiency, how can they?
Without due diligence, like you said, I think heads should have rolled. All right. Yakubu Mahmoud has no business remaining on that seat. With the daylight robbery we experienced in 2023, everybody knows. Now, how could INEC backtrack on its own decision? You said voting or results would be electronically transmitted in real time from the polling unit. What we saw was the reverse of it. What happened? So investigation revealed that somebody shut down, it was tampered with. Now, during the build-up to the election, there's this man, I have forgotten his name. He was in charge of the ICT department. He was transferred. He was redeployed. Because we still have some people of consensual character in INEC that cannot sell their integrity on a platter of yes, like people like Mike Ikhonede, although retired, although after the whole thing, what he said, he backtracked on it. So most of the things we saw in that 2023 election, you know, was an eyesore. For example, the issue of 25% in 36 states of the federation and the FCT, AND. That shouldn't even be.
That shouldn't be an argument.
Judges, I don't think people were going back and forth, this and that. Now it has been made to, it has been established that you don't need Abuja to be the president of Nigeria, whereas that has not been happening before.
Well, it used to happen. Okay, I don't want to go into that. I think
okay, because we are not lawyer, right?
No, I have a bit of stance in English interpretations, law, and all those kind of things. I think it was just simple English that really affected. I never even expected that issue was going to reach the Supreme Court.
So this
from my own personal end. That's why I think INEC really made multiple mistakes. They should have interpreted everything earlier. I don't know what they really did with their voter education. I don't really. That's my own honest opinion about them.
Okay.
Voter education was quite poor. There was a bit of lack of proper awareness. Though I know some of those things they were pushing it towards
that led to low turnout.
Low turnout. They were pushing it towards political parties, but I felt it's your duty. It's not the political party's duty. It's your personal duty. You collected money for it. It's in your budget. So why are you trying to shift goalposts? And I don't think. But from our perspective, I felt the money given towards INEC. I think they need more audits. That's my own problem. I think they need more audits, and I think ED should have rolled, like you said, especially for the issue of IREF. I don't know why that still transpired. How come the IREF did not work on the day of the election? And 2 times you came to tell us that nothing will shake the
It was human error. He even went to Chatham House
to say the same thing.
That it should be held by his word. So the same crime Ishak Oloyede committed was the same thing. So the only difference was that, you know, even though Ishak shed crocodile tears on national TV, he apologized. Even though, you know, he claimed to have a fictitious integrity. Was now, if Alex Onyea, one Igbo man, the CEO of Educare, if he has not taken out the matter, that will be how lives of young Nigerians will have been destroyed like that. Imagine somebody scoring 78 because of your glitch, human error. Now the person now scores 351. What would have happened? So you would have denied those kids admission. So I did think there was no uproar. That was how the whole thing would have died. The point is, Nigerians are too emotional. I see Nigerians who are beclouded by proclivity or partisan sentiment. Now, people were attacking those kids that this is TikTok generation. How do you expect them to pass them?
The failure was still massive.
They went back to their
people.
The failure was still massive.
It was massive.
It was still massive. But that one, we know that, yes, to a very large extent, the failure was still massive.
How I wish yes, every one of them.
If they didn't again all through, we will still have almost the same result.
No, almost the same result.
Of course, everybody might not pass, but at least let the system be, you know, let there be trust in the system.
And I don't know why we're not even employing young minds into those
that is
like young and tech. But I think we'll look into that
now, especially in JAMB. What they are after is revenue generation. That is on top of their mind. If you discover,
that's the only system that the government, currently educational system, that the government gives money to, that generates revenue back to the government. I think we should also hail Ishak Oloyede for that, because no other JAMB head ever brought money back. That's why the amount of money they collect. But to bring that, I think
the point is, if you want to collect money, the system should be transparent.
Now,
for example, you said the minimum age requirement for you to gain admission is 16 years old, and kids under 16 registered for JAMB and you collected their money.
Exactly.
That is criminality.
That is the issue.
All in the name of you withholding their result. That is criminality.
Exactly.
You
said
money and withhold results.
Yes.
They didn't show their results.
You should have
just accepted them in the first instance.
I think well, one of the truths is, truthfully, I think I agree with the sect that says head should have rolled. Maybe Ishak should have lost the seat and all that. But I feel sometimes Nigerians don't know that to find good hands in governmental positions or government parastatals is a big problem, because
we have a lot of good hands, but we love rewarding her like We have over 200 million people for crying out loud.
We have over 200 million people that, to a very large extent, could be. Well, let's move that. Let's take a break. After the break, we'll come back to this. It's getting heated here a bit, to a very large extent. I think let's take a break because we all have our views. But let's enjoy Go Start. After Go Start, we'll come back to our stories and some of our discussions that we're having here on Daybreak Africa. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa. I hope you enjoyed Go Start. I hope you're going to do something with what you've learned from Go Start. But now it's time to return back to our discussions for today. Oh, it was very heated actually before we left. I've been discussing a bit about not my point actually, because what I was trying to just relate back was that I think one thing we need to agree on is, truthfully, there are good people in Nigeria. But the truth is, I think we were saying something when we were coming to the office all together, and I said, the truth is, politics, no matter how good you are in this country, if you want to be in any governmental position, you will still have to go through the roads of politics. Because at the end of the day, whether by appointment or by anything, someone will have to recommend you one way or the other.
Yes.
And the truth is, for many leaders in Nigeria, to actually find good people is very difficult for them. It's just like a girl that is very beautiful. You will have many suitors. And in the company of many suitors is a legion of deceivers. And if you are not careful and calm enough, you will actually not get the right person for yourself. There are many pretty ladies out there that don't have, same with extremely talented people, they don't really have good careers and all that. So sometimes it's very difficult in that sphere to really find good people. Someone made an analogy about the issue of JAM to me. He said that many of these places, that these centers that, because JAM does not have a particular built structure as centers for exams, they made use of other entrepreneurs who had centers like that, IT centers. That many of those guys didn't really have all the gadgets.
Yes,
that
they will borrow the gadgets
so that INEC can accredit, so that JAM can accredit them. Immediately after the accreditation,
they will return the items.
And JAM will never come back again to monitor that thing, because truthfully, no man is how many of them are getting these jobs. So we can't totally blame Ishak. Ishak did his job. He's not that done.
And we know that they cannot be everywhere.
For every center accredited, on the day of exam, I think all those centers should have a JAM representative. That is the problem. What happened to feedback mechanism? That this is what happened.
But we know Nigeria sometimes when it comes to feedback mechanisms,
we are poor.
We are very not even at that. Not even we are poor because of the fact that people are not there. Everybody wants to talk. 80% of people in this country, once I rub your palm, the feedback, even when I'm bad,
getting feedback. We are really poor.
But that's the aspect. That's the. I think for Ishak, I feel even if you are going to resign, sack a lot of people before you go. That's just the aspect.
People should go with him.
Especially those centers where it was found out that there were glitches and all that. Ed should have ruled. Then you yourself resign. That's a very good way to actually go about that whole particular thing, and then we'll begin to find another person in that aspect, because you've done your job, you did the right stand. Maybe I don't know, but maybe I say I have a bias for Ishak. I don't have a bias.
Anyways, we continue with our
you said it is difficult to find good people, but then that's where performance evaluation comes in. For example, there's this minister Betta Edu. When she misbehaved, she was removed immediately. So it will serve as a deterrent. So this is how to sanitize the system. So we can't even say because we can't find good people, let's just appoint anyhow. Now, for example, you talk about suitors. All right. If I'm in a relationship does not guarantee marriage. The journey of two people in relationship, the scripture says, can two work together except they agree. So it's for you to work along, whether you can actually get along. And if no, pathways. A broken marriage, a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. So you find another one.
Definitely. Well, all right, so we'll continue with the story of the day. The Labour Party faction led by Julius Abure has accused Peter Obi, former presidential candidate, of orchestrating the crisis in the party. Umar Ibrahim, the Labour Party national secretary in Abure's camp, made the claim while responding to Obi's recent interview. Obi has said the ruling All Progressive Congress infiltrated the party, triggering the crisis within its rank. In a statement issued recently, Ibrahim accused Obi of misleading Nigerians on the actual cause of the party's crisis, noting that nearly all political parties are gambling with one form of internal conflict or the other. He said, "We sincerely hope that it should introspect and move away from this ill-conceived narrative And he also said that it is therefore pertinent to put on record that the problem with the Labour Party was not created by the ruling party. Rather, the problem in the Labour Party was created and sustained by Peter Obi and Dr. Alex Oti, the governor of Abia State, who is presently serving suspension for anti-party activities.
But then let us look at
Who are we going to blame? Who should we blame? Who should take the blame? When it comes to
the Labour Party, actually, I don't know. From your own perspective, I think to a very large extent, you will know more about the Labour Party
and Peter Obi, yes.
But then, to a very large extent, do you feel that these factions within, because the party had been embattled the minute they had Obi as their presidential candidate, either from what's this man's name? Apapa, Lamidi Apapa. Either from Lamidi Apapa or Julius Abure. Julius Abure used to even be the best friend of Obi till a very large extent. Then after some issues, I don't know what happened, I don't know what transpired. Now Abure is against the faction of Obi and Alex Oti and all that, thinking maybe they want to remove him from power. I don't even know what Lamidi Apapa is even doing at this particular time. Maybe the Labour Party needs a new structure. But for someone like Obi who is trying to get presidency as soon as possible, don't you think the issues of his political party should have been one of his topmost priorities in ensuring it resolved as soon as possible?
Well, the point is, somebody who thrives or somebody who delights in where anarchy thrives, it will be very difficult for you to make peace with such person. The point is, it's even more disheartening to know that Abure, being a lawyer, is aware that the court has ruled and the court has sacked him
as the chairman of the party.
The court has affirmed the caretaker committee led by Nenadi Usman. So you are the one that is the mastermind of the problem going on. Now the point is, you said Alex Oti is serving a suspension. Who is suspending who?
I think that's the question. Who suspended
you? It's illegal. The court has suspended. The court has even sacked you. So you have no business. The point is, it's even crazy that those who are supposed to be the custodian of our law are the ones trampling upon the law flagrantly. It's quite unfortunate. And I think the court should be the last resort to solve any issue that is complicated, as in the case of Labour Party.
Yeah.
Now, what is the offense of Obi? What has Obi done actually? Just to maintain moral sanctity in the party. But Abure and his cohort, they are after what they want to hit. That's the problem. If you actually put the interest of the party at heart, you have to step down. You have to step down. The point is, at first, you didn't make yourself the chairman. All right? People came together to make you chairman. And when this set of people say they don't want you, it's just like somebody that's the typical character of Nigerian politician. Because the people should be the one to say, we want you there, we will vote for you. But a Nigerian politician will tell you, I must rule over you. Either you like it or not.
I think we've not actually learned. I don't think we've learned democracy in Nigeria.
That military is part of us.
Not even military. You look, see, both the military. That's my own point of view, because is this your statement that brings me back to that? I think we've not internalized democracy. We just practice it externally.
You are very right.
Because pre-colonial wise, we have kingship. Kingship system.
That authoritative.
We are monarchical. I don't think we will learn this thing in a long time. Because then that's why we had multiple military rule and all those kind of things. So I think most of the time we just try to exert authority by all means possible. Imagine calling something that is just an 8 years office like power. There's no power in 8 years. After 8 years you leave and you go and sit down somewhere. Where is President Mohamed Buhari today? It's nowhere. I don't know why Nigerians have that attitude. I don't know how we can even internalize. But I want to ask a question here. Do you think Obi blaming the presidency, the APC, for the crisis in the Labour Party, do you think it was, because I saw a lot of backlash towards that statement of his on Twitter particularly and TikTok, because I know many people are just talking about it, and some of them brought analogies of the fact that if you are saying the presidency is affecting your political party, you should understand that the person that is president currently was once a governor too as well, was once a politician too as well, and he had to lead a party, and he was in the opposition, and still he was able to man his party to a point that he fought tooth and nail till he himself became president and also got into the ruling side. That Obi should be able to guide his house and not blame. What's your take on it? about the fact that the presidency infiltrated into the violence or is involved with everything happening in the Labour Party today?
How do you guide your house? All right? By making peace. Peter Obi is a man of peace who believe that to make peace you go through the right channel, not by the use of violence. Now, all this governor you are talking about, ex-governor that lay hold of their party, how did they go about it? By the show of force, by using thuggeries, where thugs have been empowered. The point is, when you are trying to make peace, that this is what you want to do. Just imagine, you are Miracle, you have an altercation, and I'm trying to settle it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, in the scripture, something happened. 2 Egyptians were fighting. One was actually overpowering the other, and Moses came. He tried to interfere, and the one that was suffering said, "Who made you an overseer over our matter?" No, at that point, Moses has been told to step aside. So if somebody said, I am the raw iron, I am in the Boski Bahushe, I don't want peace. So you should leave it. The next thing is to leave those kind of people. Now the point is, the issue of the ruling party instigating violence, instigating the internal conflicts going on in the Labour Party is the verity. It's verifiable. That's the point, because the intention is to actually divide the party, and it's towards this is the first time in this country where barely 2 years into power, a president of a country is being endorsed. You are trying to play mind games. You don't need endorsements. The point is, all these governors defecting to the APC. Like I said the other time, they are defecting because of their own personal interest. Now, what they are trying to do, what they are using that to do is that the ruling party want to make people feel as if they have the support of the big wigs, and it's a lie. 2027, it is going to be the government against the people. I am telling you. But then there's a problem. The problem is, if before 2027 we don't have our electoral reforms are not in place, forget about it.
I was almost saying this man doing the electoral reforms, taking.
Yes, Peter Randy.
Peter Randy. My very good friend Prince Alex too has been with them to working towards the.
You can imagine
ensuring that the National Assembly takes consideration into some of their points.
Why is it too difficult to reform our electoral laws? Why is it difficult? Because the problem is that it's going to affect them. Contesting an election in the first place should be about testing your popularity. Testing your popularity. You don't have to induce people. People say they want you. You get it. If you want to contest an election and you have to induce somebody to support you, that means you are not popular. That is the problem. You have to induce people, okay, money inducement, show of force, this and that. If you are not this, if you are Igbo, if you vote for the other party, that is show of force. That means your candidate is not popular. All right. So we have if as a candidate you cannot command the organic love from the people, you have no business. That's the problem. So. But I am not surprised. We are in the government of grab it, snatch it, and run with it.
Well, let's away from that a bit, because when you were talking, you talked a bit about the fact that not a show of force, and the fact that we are still addressing the issue of crisis and defections a bit. You also said that we don't even need the endorsement of the governors and all that. But it's not only governors that are even defecting. I began to see, even from the beginning of this administration, that people like Boala Daniel, who worked with not president, actually he's not yet the president, former vice president Atiku Abubakar as a spokesperson, during the election, some weeks after he just even released a post insulting the government, then he joined the government. And recently I saw someone who's been vocal. I think he's the only very vocal person in the PDP for the last 2 years. He's also talking about a strong possibility of him leaving the PDP in the person of Segun Showunmi. He said there is a possibility I would leave the PDP. And Segun Showunmi happens to be a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. And recently he said, and when he said this thing, he visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his Lagos residence. In fact, I saw both Labour Party specialists and People's Democratic Party members visiting the presidency. I'm very shocked what's happening actually. Showunmi paid President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a visit at his Lagos home, sparking rumors of his defection to the ruling All Progressive Congress. It was once the Atiku spokesperson for the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign, and he said that there is a very strong possibility he could leave the PDP if the crisis rocking the party persists. And he said this recently on the program. Asked whether he would support Tinubu's re-election bid in 2027, Shomi said he would not hesitate to join the APC if convinced it is the right call. If I am going to support Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for president in 2027, by God and everything that is in me, I will leave and join his party, he said. And yeah, I'll just add this briefly. If I'm not there, I'm not there. If I'm here, I'm here. I have been in PDP for 28 years. Most of them don't even have that record of 28 days. Now, what's really happening from your own party, especially towards the People's Democratic Party? We've talked about the Labour Party, but one underrated downfall when it comes to political parties in Nigeria is the People's Democratic Party. We are seeing such a decline to a point that, especially in this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu tenure, we are seeing people just defecting from the PDP to the APC. Unashamedly. Before it was something that you don't see every day.
People say Akwa Ibom governor.
Even governors are even threatening their people that if you don't defect,
with her,
just know that you can't be in my cabinet and all those kind of things. Now, what do you think is happening from your perspective, looking at the fact that both top personalities, chieftains, are defecting in mass numbers?
Well, as in the case of Daniel Bwala, one of the prayers we need to be praying is that our means of survival should not be so difficult that we have to erode the values we believe in to survive. That's the case of Daniel Bwala, Areno, or Mokri. All those ones are both leakers. Tomorrow you can even see them on the other side of the political divide. But concerning PDP, who are the PDPs? Who are the APC? That's the question. So that was the same political tsunami, you know, defection tsunami we saw in 2015, where the like of Saraki, this Atiku Abubakar, all of them, all right? No, 2027, while it is still near, it's still far. Let's see what happens. So we are just seeing all this defection playing out. Let's see how it goes. You understand? You talked about something the other time, you know, if your palm, one of the most useless statements I've heard about all these people defecting was the one I heard from Akwa Ibom governor, where he said, I'm defecting to APC because of admiration for the president. I admire Tinubu. That's why I'm
ideology is not even planned.
That's why I'm defecting. You can imagine. Some people are defecting so as to get automatic tickets. They so much believe that Tinubu is indeed master strategist. That if he doesn't want you to get there, so where are the system? How I wish he could deploy the same energy he's using to reward this politician for good governance. Nigeria would have been better.
Politics is different
than it is.
Politics is
but you cannot separate both.
We can't separate. No,
it actually separates it now in
It
Nigeria.
is disastrous to have A1 in plain politics but F9 in governance. Why are you there in the first place? Why are you there? You swore an allegiance to the people that you are going to defend them. People are being killed. You get some people who should still be alive because of the recklessness, the ineptitude of the government. They are beyond, I mean, they are 6 feet below. So what are we talking about? Oh, you don't play politics. Just imagine now, attention has been shifted from good governance now. So the focus now is on 2027, barely 2 years. Posters everywhere. Don't you think that's an indictment on INEC? But what will INEC do when the institution has been bought? You get it? Normally, the law is in place that if election is not flag off, how do you support? Listen, now the lowest of the low that I've ever seen was the video of Akpabio singing.
On your mandate,
things are getting better. Things are getting better. For Tinubu is on the throne. That is an effrontery on the collective sensibility of Nigeria. I mean, sensitivity of Nigeria. But Tinubu is on the throne. Things are getting better. Things are getting better. But are things actually getting better for the common man on the street? Because you don't know what's happening. You don't feel the plight of the people. Day in, day out, to live in opulence.
But how do you think, as we round off now, because we have been told that it's time to just end it, but in 2 minutes, what do you think Nigeria can do to ensure that we have a stronger democracy, we have a stronger governance system that can work for the people?
Yes, thank you very much.
From your own perspective, what do you think will satisfy you for if the country goes? Because even this article and many of them are talking about now, they are also talking about the coalition and all that. Do you even think the coalition will stand from your own perspective? Let's just have that first in 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I think APC came into power via coalition. So the question about the coalition, whether it's going to work or not, that will be decided by those who are actually coming together. And concerning what we are going to do to have a strong electoral or governance system, now how I wish all Nigerians can, rally around Peter Randy for his call for electoral reforms. But now Nigeria prefer attacking Tunde Onakoya, somebody doing well for the country, representing the country, than pushing for what will benefit them. All right. If we push for electoral reform, we have a law that is in place that you transmit election real time. People will be looking at it, so nobody will be able to rig election. So our politicians will sit tight. They will now know that contesting election rather is about test of popularity, not on going there to bank on frivolities. So that is it.
Thanks so much, Abiodun, for being a part of this. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, it's a lot actually. It's a lot. It's Democracy Day actually, and we need to just make lots of reviews about a whole lot of things happening within the country. Whew. I just hope this whole democracy work. But then, if there's something we should be proud about, we should be happy about. For the first time, we're having 26 years uninterrupted democracy. Many countries can't even boast of that and all that. And Nigeria, at least one progress at a time. If we can get it right politically, we should be able to get it right governmentally wise. So we just keep up with the process and all that. Hopefully, that many of us won't have done what they call the japa before the whole things work out to the particular extent. But then, it's well. But then it's time to take sport, so let's enjoy sport a bit. After sport, we'll come back, we'll see our conclusions on Daybreak Africa, so please stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Just join us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, it was a very beautiful segment, talking about both sports and, yes, our discussions, the news discussion, everything. Whew! Structurally, I think INEC became the fulcrum of our discussion at a particular time, because I think to a very large extent, a whole lot is happening.
That money.
The money especially, I think there should be audits.
Billion, not million to billion.
No, wait. I think I even need to make a clarity for Nigerians here. If it was local government elections or state elections or state settings, you should expect more of the spending will be on millions. But anytime you go to federal, don't expect millions in federal.
But even with that,
even if it's toothpick you want to hit, you want to put in your mouth on the federal, billions of naira will be made use of. Let's just be sincere with ourselves. I think to a very large extent, I've been trying to explain that concept to Nigerians naturally, that there is no country in the world that at their federal level they are spending on millions. They majorly spend on billions, no matter the currency they are holding. Talking about even down to debt. I was talking about even the debt Nigeria owes, and people are shouting Nigeria owes. I said the United States, and they were comparing with the United States, and I said the United States owes more. They owe in trillions, they owe in hundreds of trillions of dollars. That's just the harsh truth. So are you expecting us to, the federal government, to spend millions? No. And INEC, truthfully, 36 states, they have personnel there. My own problem with this time around is that just by elections, you are seeking 126 billion. So
what will now happen to the actual,
So that means if we are coming for presidential elections now, the general elections, we should be talking about
trillions,
or maybe a trillion naira this time around as INEC budget. I think we really need to work things out on how we go about our whole thing, especially INEC. I don't even have a problem with the money we want to spend. My problem is do the right thing.
Just do the right thing.
Because if we can get it right at the election spot, definitely it's likely we'll get it right in governance. And if we can get it right in governance, definitely we are going to enjoy more of democracy. And that's my own point, because I don't want anything that will let us disintegrate into violence, and from violence we begin to have military rule. Military rule is not something that I really want any Nigerian to experience anymore. I don't want my children to experience it. If military rule happens today, I would begin to think of jackpot I've never thought of in a long time. So that's just the harsh truth. But then, it's been a very lengthy discussion, very interesting one on that. But then we'll meet again tomorrow on Daybreak Africa, which happens to be one of my own most exciting times on Daybreak.
Thank God it's going to be Friday.
Till then, my name still remains Ikhonede Joshua Adegbeyeni.
And my name remains Miracle Odunayo. Stay productive.
Bye, guys.